Good afternoon, everyone. Today we will discuss polarographic studies of coordination compounds. Till now, in this paper, we have discussed different electroanalytical techniques like polarography, conductometry, amperometry, and electrogravimetry. So after studying cyclic voltammetry, yes. So after studying all these techniques, now let us discuss how we can apply them for the study of different type of compounds. So in this series, we are starting our unit 5, and the first topic that we are going to discuss is polarographic studies of coordination compounds. How polarography can be applied to study coordination compounds. So the question arises, what are coordination compounds? We know that coordination compounds, they are made up of a metal ion and ligand. When the ligand donates its electron density to the empty orbitals of metal ion, and sometimes the reverse bonding is also there, and metal also donates its electron to the empty orbitals of the ligand. So in that case, a complex compound is formed, and since they have a coordination type of bond between them, so we call them coordination compound. So basically, in the coordination compound, we know that there is a metal ion, and it is now not freely available in the solution. So as soon as a coordinate compound is formed from the metal and a ligand, then what happens? The metal is not available in the solution as a free metal ion. So till now we have seen that in the polarography or any other type of electroanalytical technique, what happens? We have a solution, analyte, and that analyte contains different type of metal ions, and then we, in case of polarography specifically, when we use the drop-in mercury electrode, these metal ions, they get reduced over the DME, and from their half-wave potential, we can find out, we can identify what type of metal it is. But in case of coordination compound, now since the metal ion is not available in its free state, rather it is present in the form of a coordinate ion. Like you all know that the metal combined with the ligand, and now this coordinate ion exists in the solution. So this coordinate ion is now no longer representing the original characteristic of the metal ion, and therefore we can study such type of ions, such type of compounds by polarography. So, what are the different applications? What are the different methods of polarography? How we can analyze the different parameters related to the coordination compound, like the stability constant uh, is the most important one. How can we calculate the stability constant of different type of complexes using the polarographic technique? That we will going to discuss. So, let us move on to the topic. We know that half-wave potential for a simple metal ion, it is expressed through this formula. We have seen this formula, and this is basically derived from the Nernst equation. And the Nernst equation applies to those reactions in which the process is reversible. We have already seen what are the reversible, irreversible, and quasi-reversible processes. So we know that the Nernst equation is applicable to only those processes which are reversible on the electrode surface. So if we talk about the simple metal ion that is present in the solution, then its half wave potential we can calculate from this formula. So E half mu is equal to E naught A. What is E naught A? It is standard potential of the amalgam, or you can say the Calomel electrode that we are using as a reference electrode, right? We know that we are using three types of electrode in any of the electroanalytical techniques. So the reference electrode is providing the reference potential. So this is our A naught A, E naught A. Then RT and F, the symbols have the usual meaning. RT gas constant, T temperature, N is number of electrons involved, and F is the Faraday constant. Now the AH naught is the activity coefficient of mercury in the amalgam. So activity of the mercury that we have included for the real time situation. So AHG is the activity coefficient of mercury, then RT upon NF minus. Now this type of this expression is for the analyte ion. So gamma A D to dA half mu, gamma 2 mu dA half. So what does this symbol represent? The gamma A is the practical molar activity coefficient of the metal in the amalgam, and the gamma S mu is practical molar activity coefficient of metallic ion with the ionic strength mu, and our dA is the diffusion coefficient of metal in the amalgam, and dS mu is the diffusion coefficient of ionic species at the ionic strength mu. So the first part here it represents the reference electrode, and the second part represents the working electrode. So our reference electrode may be working like an anode, and the working electrode behaving like a cathode. So when you minus the potential of anode from the potential of cathode, you get what? You get the half wave potential. So this is the general expression for half wave potential. And since we are taking the real time experimental condition, so we have taken the activity in place of the molar concentration. So this is the activity of mercury according to its concentration. And on the metallic ion side, we are taking the metallic ion that is present in the form of amalgam, as well as that is present in the ionic form in the solution. So both form of metal ion are considered. So from this equation, we can represent the half wave potential of a simple metal ion. Now it is known that the polarographic reduction wave, when you perform the polarographic experiment, what you get? You get a reduction wave. And we have seen the graph like this. You get a graph like this, and half a point to that graph is the half wave potential. So the polarographic reduction wave, when the metal ion comes to the working electrode and it gets reduced, you get a wave. So that polarographic wave of the simple aqua metal ion, it gets shift in the direction of more negative potential on the addition of a complexing agent. So complexing agent is what? When you are adding ligand to the solution, then what will happen? Then in that case, the reduction wave, it actually gets shifted towards the more electronegative side. It means towards the left hand side of your, and due to that shifting, you can identify that the complex formation has begun in the solution. So in this manner, polarography can actually detect the change in the concentration of metal ion inside the solution, and that you can see by the observation at your polarographic wave. Now, the direct measurement of the shift in the half wave potential can serve for the determination of stability constant of the complexes in the solution. When you can measure that shift, when you can measure the shift of the half wave potential, then actually you can determine the stability constant of the complex in solution. But what is the condition here? Provided that the reaction at the dropping mercury electrode occur reversibly. If the reaction is reversible, then only it is possible for you to uh, get your stability constant, to do that calculation. It is only possible if your reaction is reversible at the electrode surface. It means the reduction of the metal, it should be accompanied by the oxidation of the metal. So in that case, we can calculate the stability constant of the complex. And if you perform suitable modification to that equation that we have just seen, if you do suitable modification, then we can also deal with the irreversible case. So in many times in many reactions, the irreversible reaction is there. So we can modify them, and we can also go for the reactions which are irreversible in nature. So sometimes what happens, that reduction wave that we are getting after performing the polarographic experiment, that wave is affected by the kinetics of the reaction. Kinetics of the reaction is obviously it is related to the rate constant of the reaction, so it is affected by that. And also it is the diffusion controlled process, so it is also getting affected by the diffusion of the metal ion. So sometimes it is controlled by the rate of the dissociation of complex species, and this could be to a greater or lesser extent. But yes, the kinetics of the complex formation and the diffusion of the metal ions, they both can affect the reduction wave, and obviously they can affect the shape of the wave. So again, since the wave is affected by these factors, if you need to count on them, if you need to find out what about these effects, then you can carefully observe the polarographic wave and the changes, even the slightest changes. If you can observe on the reduction wave, you can find out what is the effect of the kinetics, if it is changing something, or if the diffusion of the metal ion is at a faster rate or a slower rate. So you can find out so many parameters basically simply by observing the reduction wave in the polarography. So this technique is found to be really useful for the studies of coordination compounds. Now, systems consisting of several complexes are encountered in which both the reducible and the non-reducible species occur, and in which the equilibria between some species are less mobile than the other. So, in the coordination chemistry, we can see so many type of systems. Like in the same type of solution, different complexes can exist. Like we have seen that in the stepwise formation of any complex, the metal ion first combined with the one ligand Ml, and then it forms Ml2 in the next step. Then in the next step it forms Ml3. In the next step it forms Ml4. Again it combines with one ligand and it forms Ml5. And consequently, like this, we can say that the complex Ml6 is formed uh, during these different steps. It is what the stepwise formation of the complex. So these different complex species, they can occur in a solution at the same time, and some of them could be reducible and some of them could be non-reducible. And sometimes the equilibria, this could be less mobile. The Because we have so many equations involved, we have so many reactions involved in the same type of system. So each process can have a different type of equilibria for it. So in that case, what we need to do, we have to look for the overall kinetics, and the overall kinetics, this we can elucidate by the nature, structure, and behavior of each species, and that each species we can identify by the looking at the polarographic wave and by calculating their stability constant. So again, the polarography can help to study the coordination compound in this manner. The polarographic method has been developed as a useful tool for the determination of structure of complexes. You can also determine the structure of complexes by using the polarographic technique. Like in the previous points, we have seen that we can calculate the stability constant because the polarographic wave can shift towards the left hand side, shift towards the more negative side after the complex formation, and by calculating that shift, you can calculate the stability constant. Similarly, we can go for we can determine the structure of the complex again by using the same tool. And in the past, several studies have been made regarding this, and the same stability constant calculation, it can help us in this manner. The unknown structure may then be inferred from the similar polarographic behavior, or confirmation may be given for the structures already indicated by other techniques. So the structure can be determined by two methods. The first method is you know the polarographic behavior of a particular complex, and when you compare it with some unknown complex, that structure you do not know, and you take the polarographic behavior of that complex as well, and then you compare the polarographic behavior of both these complexes. So in that case, you can do what? In that case, you can find out the polarographic behavior of all these compounds, and similarly, the structures can be identified. In another case, we can go for like the structure you do not know, But other techniques you have used for finding out the structure of the complex, like you may have used IR spectroscopy, you may have used Raman spectroscopy, and after getting those observations, now you need to have another technique which you can use to confirm the structure, to confirm the observation. So again, the polarography plays a role here, and you can find out, you can go for a confirmed structure from the polarographic technique. Now, let us look at the stability constant determination for reversible reduction. The first category that we are going to look is the reversible reductions. So, reversible reduction reactions, they will follow the Nernst equation, and how we can calculate the stability constant from such reactions using the polarographic technique. So, let us take the first category. If my system is involving formation of a single complex, if only one complex is being formed in a system, then how can we calculate its stability constant from the polarographic technique? Single complex means you have mixed up the solution of metal and the ligand, and then a single complex MLN is formed in one direct step. So only one species is involved. So as we know that from the Ilkovic equation, the half wave potential, that is E half, for the reduction of a metallic species in terms of the diffusion current ID and the current I at any other point on the polarographic wave corresponds to the potential EdE applied to the mercury drop. So this is the Ilkovic equation, derived from the Ilkovic equation, and we can calculate the potential over the mercury drop, and it is also correlated with the half wave potential. It is also correlated with the half wave potential of this substance. So this is my Ilkovic equation, and from this equation you can correlate the half wave potential of a particular metallic species with its diffusion current, and the current that you are measuring. Again, you can correlate it with the potential that is applied on the mercury drop. Now, this is the equation that I can use. Now, provided that the reduction occur reversibly, this is the primary condition for the experiment. So, if my reduction process is reversible in nature, then definitely it is going to follow the Ilkovic equation as well, because it is derived from the Nernst equation, and we know that the reversible system follows the Nernst equation. So, the E half value of a complex species MXJ, it will have a more negative value than that of the simple aqua species. So this was the behavior we just discussed in case of the metal ion complexation. We have seen that the half wave potential actually shift towards the more negative side value, and this we can obtain also from the equation that we have just seen. So the E half value of a complex species MXJ, now the complexation has done here. Here my metal ion is now not free, and it is combined with the J number of X ligand and form the complex MXJ. So after the addition of the ligand solution to the metal ion solution, you will get, when you will perform the polarographic experiment, you will see that the E half value will shift towards the more negative side as compared to the simple aqua species. Now, a measure of this shift, you can measure that shift. It will serve to determine both the coordination number and the stability constant of the complex. By using that shift that you are getting from the experimental data, you can determine what? The coordination number, that is the J value. What is the coordination number? MXJ. J is the coordination number of the complex. And obviously you can calculate the stability constant. So suppose my stability constant is beta. So what equation now we can apply here? So it can fairly simply be shown that the shift to a first approximation by ignoring activity coefficient may be expressed in the following relationship. This is the relationship. Now you are using this relationship to calculate the shift in the polarographic wave. shift in the half-wave potential. So E half S and E half C, they are the half-wave potential of simple and complex species. S is the simple metal ion, that is the free metal ion in the solution, and C represents the complex ion. So, because after the complexation, what will happen? The E half will get reduced, right? Its value will be decreasing after the complexation and it will shift towards the negative side. So, you can deduct the value of the E half for the simple ion. You can use that value and deduct the complex ion value from it. So what will be the equation you can use here? So you know that this equation already exists in the minus form. So when you put it here, it will become a plus sign. So this is the beta j. Beta j is what? If you remember that we are putting here the activity coefficient terms. So stability constant has the similar expression. So you can replace that part from the stability constant. So 0.0591, we know that RT upon F has this value. This is the value of RT upon F upon N, because we don't know what number of electrons are involved in the reaction. Log 10 beta j. Beta j is what? J is the coordination number of the complex, beta J is the stability constant, and Cx is the ligand concentration. So plus J into point. Now this expression holds for the complexation of ion, right? So here Cx is the ligand concentration. So from this relation, you can put all the values and you can get the shift in the polarographic wave, and you can count on both the J value, that is the coordination number, and you can calculate the stability constant from the polarography. Half-wave potential of a complex metal ion shift with changing activity of the complexing ligand in accordance with this equation. Now all the parameters they have calculated, and by rearranging the above equation, the equation that we have just seen, this is what delta E half that we have calculated by subtracting the, they have subtracted this value, and this is my delta E half. What is the shift? And then log 10 Cx gamma x, it shows the activity part is equal to minus j. 0.059 is taken the common here from this equation. 0.059 upon n, you can take it common. So you have just rearranged the equation, and from this equation it becomes very easy for you to calculate the j, that is the coordination number of the complex. And what are the measurements? You need to know the ligand concentration, you need to know the gamma x, that is the activity coefficient, then E half, that is the shift of the polarographic wave, and how many number of electrons are involved during this process. So the number of ligand is J, bound in the complex is found from a plot of log 10 Cx against E half C. When you plot a graph between log 10 Cx and E half C, when you plot a graph like this, you can calculate the J value as well. So you need not to go for complex calculations. You just need to plot a graph. And what happens when you plot a graph? It becomes a linear graph. So the scientist name was Lingen. He showed the presence of hydrogen plumbite ion in a strongly alkaline solution of lead hydroxide, whose reversible reduction is represented by this equation. This is what? This is the hydrogen plumbite ion, and when the lead exists in the strongly alkaline solution, the mercury represent here, the mercury is present due to the use of DME, because we are using the dropping mercury electrode. So we always consider that a part of metal is inside the mercury drop, because it is forming amalgam with it. So the ligand showed the presence of hydrogen plumbite ion. As soon as the plumbite ion will be formed, what will happen? The polarographic wave will shift towards the negative side of the graph. And when you plot the log 10 Cx against the E half C, you can get what is the number of ligand attached to it. Now the second category, what else we can do? So in the first category, we see that the system in which only single complex is formed. So we saw how we can calculate the stability constant and how we can calculate the coordination number. Another category is the system in which we have a formation of series of complexes with a single ligand type. So with a single ligand type, how we can say that a series of complexes are formed? So just now I told you that suppose you have mixed the ligand solution L with the metal ion solution M, and the complex to be formed, the final product is to be Ml6. So what will happen? The complex formation will take step by step. So first M will combine with one F, it will be Ml. Then Ml will form Ml2. Then Ml will combine with one ligand L, and it will form Ml3. So this will be what you are preparing the same complex but in the stepwise manner. And because of such type of mechanism, what will happen at any instance of time, the system can have so many type of complexes. Like it can have ml, and it can have ml2, ml3, ml4, ml5. All these type of complexes, they could be present at the same time. So for such type of systems which involve a series of complexes but only one ligand is involved, so how can we go for their studies by using the polarizographic technique? So in this category, we have two class of systems. For the series formation of complexes, we have two systems. And what are these two systems? So the first system is those in which each complex species exists only within a definite range of ligand concentration. The each complex species that we are talking about, it can exist only a definite region of ligand concentration. Below that ligand concentration or above that ligand concentration, these species do not exist. Like two or more complexes with different coordination number are not present together. And in the second category, these are the systems which consist of a series of complexes in step equilibrium. The step equilibrium, which I just told you. Two or more complexes coexist, but different species predominate at a particular ligand concentration. So these are the two systems. Let us discuss these systems with an example. In the first category of system, the ligand concentration is very important, and when you change the ligand concentration, what happens? Different type of complexes can exist, but the complexes like Ml2 and Ml3, they cannot coexist in such type of system. Right? When you increase the ligand concentration, it becomes Ml3. When you decrease the concentration of ligand, it becomes Ml2. So these are the systems which belongs to our category 1, and the ligand concentration plays a role here. By merely changing the ligand concentration, you can change the type of metal complex that is present in the system. In the second category, what happens? The Ml2, Ml3, Ml4, they all coexist. But at any ligand concentration, suppose if you decrease the ligand concentration, the Ml2 predominates over the Ml3 and Ml4. When you increase the ligand concentration, then suppose your Ml4 predominate over the Ml3 and Ml2. Here also the ligand concentration matters a lot, but here the two or more complex, they coexist, which is not the case in the system 1, the system belonging to category 1. There, the two complexes of different coordination number, they cannot exist. But in our second class of system, the at any instance of time, we can have two or more complexes having different coordination number of the same metal. Now, one has to keep this point in your mind that in both of these cases, in the system 1 and system 2, we have involved only single ligand. Okay, so only one type of ligand is involved with such system. So let us see what calculations we can perform in such cases. So let us look at the system 1. System 1 is the system that is characterized by the ligand concentration and no two complexes of different coordination number, they can exist together. So what happens here, when you plot a graph of log 10 Cx against the ET half C, Why? Because the ligand concentration matters a lot. At a particular ligand concentration, only one complex is present in the system. So C is when you have maintained the ligand concentration at some constant level, and then you are performing the experiment. So that concentration is supposed Cx. So when you plot a graph of log 10 Cx against the ET half C, it produces a segmented curve indicating the presence of a series of complexes whose stability constant and formula can be found from the various segments. So the polarizographic wave is it is like a segment. So when you use a different ligand concentration, different type of complex species exist at each concentration, and for all those complexes you get a segmented curve. So from each of the segment you can find out at which ligand concentration what type of complex is existing, what is its formula, and what would be the stability constant for it. For example, the behavior like this, it is shown in case of the ferroferrioxylate system. It also exists in the zinc ammonia system and cadmium pyrazole system. These three type of systems are the example of system 1, where the ligand concentration matters a lot and only one ligand is involved here. Okay, so in case of ferroferry, the oxalate ligand is involved. In case of zinc ammonia, ammonium would be the ligand, and in case of cadmium pyrazole, or pyrazole is the ligand. So in these type of system, at any ligand concentration only one type of complex species can exist, and when you take a polarizographic wave, what happens? You get a segmented curve. Now, it has been demonstrated that for the segmentation of the curves to be sufficiently pronounced, you need to have a clear curve in order to go for some calculation. So, for the calculation of the stability constant data, the constant must differ by a power of 10 or more. Now, it is again another condition for such studies. If the stability constant are not having different values, if the values are not wide apart, in case of such system, then the segmentation will not be so clear in the graph, and you would not be able to calculate the individual stability constant for different type of complexes. So this is one condition here. Now let us move towards the system 2. For a system of complexes in a step equilibrium, the plot of log 10 Cx against the ET half C, it is a continuous curve. In the system 1, it was a segmented curve, but here it is a continuous curve because at any point of time, two or more complexes could exist in the different coordination number. So, the first serious attempt to consider the full implication of the step equilibria in the study of the complex formation by polarizographic method was made by Default and Hugh, who obtained the following relation between the change in the half-wave potential and the free ligand concentration for a reversible metal deposition. So this is the equation that was derived by Default and Hume, and they were studying the such type of system, like system 2, in which different complexes exist together in different coordination number for a single type of ligand. So they gave this equation for the reversible metal deposition, where the free ligand concentration is X. So they took the concentration of free ligand, and this equation was developed. So they further solved this equation, and here you can see different stability constants are involved. Like beta naught is the very first stability constant, then beta 1 would be the stability constant of mx, then beta 2 would be the stability constant of mx2, beta n is the stability constant of mxn. So how many steps are involved in the formation of this complex? At each of the steps, the stability constant needs to be included. Then X is the concentration of free ligand. We are also taking that into consideration, and the activity of the individual component along with the activity of the complex species we are taking. So for beta 1 we are taking the activity of first ligand, for beta 2 we are taking the activity of mx2, and of course you are querying the component above it, the ligand component, because now the two ligands are involved here for its formation. So you know how to write these expressions. So according to the step, we are writing all these expressions for different stability constants. And also you are getting the shift here. Delta E half is the shift in the polarographic wave, right? Because we know that after the complex formation, our polarographic wave will be shift. So how we will calculate that shift? The S represent here is the E half of the simple metal ion, and the C represents the E half value of the complex metal ion. So here IM and IC, they are the diffusion current constant for FO and complex metal ion. They are the diffusion current constant, and the gammas are the activity coefficient. The betas are the stability constant. So beta 0 is equal to 1 for 0 complex. And X is the free ligand concentration. So the current potential curve for such a deposition has been shown by this equation. This is EBE, that is the diffusion current uh, potential at the mercury drop, and E naught, the potential of the reference electrode, and then all the terms have been combined into this. As we know that we have already assumed that our system is behaving like a reversible system. So in the form of Nernst equation, we have assembled all the components, so it becomes a long summation from n to 0 to n b beta j x is to power j. So it represents the formation of the final species minus, this is the diffusion current value or the expression for our free metal ion. So this is the equation which is showing such type of system. Now the graphical method due to Lenden is applied here. If all the measurements are made at the same ionic strength, an activity coefficient dropped from equation 6, the right hand side may be denoted by F naught x, indicating that it is a function of free ligand concentration, and written as the following equation. So F naught x is, it is the function of free ligand concentration and how the free ligand concentration is affecting our system. As we know that the ligand concentration is also important here in such type of system, and it is affecting the comparative distribution of different complex species in the solution. So the F naught x will be equal to beta naught plus beta 1 x, beta 2 x squared. So different terms have been summed here, and a new function f1x may be then defined by, now you have removed the beta naught component, okay, and that f1x is for the remaining species of complexity. So similar manner, what we have done, the fnx, you have removed the one last component from it, like fn1x minus beta n1 n minus 1 upon x. So you have derived the value of fnx, and what you get the beta n. So beta n is the stability constant of the nth complex. Now from this equation, a plot of f1x against the x gives a curve having a limiting slope of beta 2 at x is equal to 0. So when you plot a graph, here we have f1x and here we have x, fjx and x. So different curves are obtained from different values. This is for f0x, then f1x, then f3x, f2x. So for x is equal to 0, the slope of with the curve having limiting value of beta 2 at x is equal to 0. When x is 0, this is the 0 value of x. The slope of beta 2 at x is equal to 0, it has a limiting slope. This is the slope. Such plots are made for each function until all the complex species are accounted for. So if suppose 6 species are involved here, ML6 has to be formed. So the curves will be plotted till F6x. Okay, Fj, where J is the coordination number of the complex. So if it is 6, then we have to plot till the F6x, F0x, F1x, F2x, F3x. Then we have to take F4x, F5x, and F6x. So this beta 2 value, F2x is representing the beta 2 value at x is equal to 0. This slope is the limiting slope of beta 2. Now the penultimate graph being linear with the positive slope, and that for the highest complex a straight line parallel to the concentration axis. So the penultimate means one less than the actual coordination number of the complex. So this penultimate graph, it becomes linear with the positive slope. This is the positive slope, and that for the highest complex, a straight line parallel to the concentration axis. Highest complex, what you get? You get a straight line that is parallel to the concentration axis. Because now the activity is not changing further, right? So this will be the, suppose if it has to reach to fj, this will be the fjx. So this graph is actually representing, it is a plot of fx function for a system of three complex species in the step equilibrium. So in this manner, you can explain the step equilibrium constant of different species involved in system 2. Now it represents a set of graph expected for such a system with three complex species formed. Why three complex species? Because in this we have taken it till the F3 only. Okay. So in the original default Hume deviation, the E half S was designated E half 0S to indicate that it was the half-wave potential of the simple ion when its activity was unity. So activity was taken unity, and then in that case the E half S was represented by E naught 0. Okay, the unity means what? Now the complexation has not started, and we are talking about only the simple metal ion. So then that E half is representing only the simple metal ion. Then it is a little justification for assuming that the first term in the equation 6 is unity. So beta naught becomes what? It becomes 1. It is in fact beta naught upon ym. So actual representation should be beta, not only the beta naught, but it should be beta naught upon ym. So you have to consider the activity of the metal ion at that point. So as used above, E half S refers to the value obtained in the medium of same ionic strength as that used in the measurement on the complex cation. So for a particular system, if the ligand number is n, then you can calculate that ligand number from this expression. If you know all these values, by putting all these values, you can calculate the number of ligands in the complex, and for each of the step you can calculate it. So a plot of log 10 f naught x against the log 10x, it gives a curve whose slope at any point gives the value of n corresponding to a particular value of x. So in this manner, you can also calculate the number of ligands involved in the complex, and on increasing the x, the composition will approach to that of the highest complex. So when you increase the ligand concentration, what you will get? You will get the complex of highest concentration, or the highest complex that could be formed, that is having the actual coordination number of the metal ion. So that is mxn. So now you can modify the equation in this format, and in this manner you can calculate the different step constant for both system 1 and system 2 by changing the ligand concentration. So that activity factor you have to introduce only in the case of system 2, where you have introduced this factor F. Now let me ask you a few questions, just to if you can remember these questions, you can answer these questions, and it means that the lecture you have listened carefully. First question is, can you tell me how polarography can be used to study the coordination compound? So that we discussed just the beginning of the lecture, that when the coordination compounds are formed, there is a shift in the polarographic line, the polarographic wave will shift towards the left side, towards the more negative side. So in that manner, you can say that the polarography is actually used to study the coordination compound. The second question is, what are the parameters? Those can be calculated from the polarographic study. So we have seen that from the polarographic waves, we can find out the stability constant of the complex. We can find out the coordination number of the complex. We can go for the structure of the complex. We can study the structure as well. So all these points we will discuss in the next lecture. That is all. That is all from my side. Uh, Two articles were used for this lecture. So thank you so much for joining.